Hi, I'm Kathryn Delaney. Thanks for joining me today. It's Thursday, October 15th, and this is your Daily Tarot. So first off, I just want to give a overview of the three cards that came up today out of with a visual perspective. So we have the two kings and we have the sun card in the middle here. So the two kings are both fixed energies, and the first king that we have is the King of Wands. And the King of Wands is associated with fire and our willfulness and our sense of motivation. And this particular card is a motivating force that comes from our heart and our being, because this card specifically, it rules over Leo, which rules over the heart. And we have the center card, which is the Sun card, a major arcana card. This is the most beneficial card in the deck. It's asking us to follow our inner calling. It's a realization in our own sense of self. And it's telling us that there is good fortune and good outcome that is going to be coming out of what is happening. Now, the third card that we have today is the King of Cups, and the King of Cups is associated with Scorpio and scorpionic energy, which the sun is getting ready to shift to here on like the 22nd of October. And Scorpio energy is all about transformation, and specifically transformation around emotions. And when we consider these two cards together, they were actually, pulled this way, so they kind of had their backs to one another. But we have fire energy and we have water energy. And when we bring fire and water energy together, we get something different, right? We get steam, we get evaporation, we get some kind of distillation, some kind of refinement of understanding in a situation, because things rise to the top. And when you have this these two energies, you can also have, of course, water putting out fire, which is what we all need right now. We have a lot of fires in Colorado, fires in California, and we need some water to put out those fires for sure. So water and fire, can balance each other, and they can also be very transformative in nature when we have those two energies together. And the sun, being kind of the centerpiece of this reading for today, is I think anyway, in drawing these cards, is that we are in a place where we're really evaluating this year, because it's been a year really unlike any other. We've have normal habits and we have normal routines, and this year particularly upset a lot of them, not only personally but socially and globally in a lot of different ways. And that shift automatically calls us to reevaluate things and look at things in a different way. And in this situation, in this whole span of time, we've been able to reflect, hopefully, and maybe we're just reflecting now because we have Mercury in Scorpio, and it's all about transformation, and Mercury is how we see things and how we talk about things. And perhaps we're starting to reflect now how this year impacted us emotionally and our own sense of our wish and what we feel called to do in the world, and what we feel, how we feel called to interact with people in the world, and what's actually important to us and true for us, and how to respond and open to that. Because the sun energy, it has an energy that calls for an opening, right? We're humans, we thrive in warm environments. We tend to not do very well if we have cold environments, like if we have cold digestion, and if we are in cold states, therapeutically anyway. The sun literally helps seeds sprout in the ground when the ground warms up enough and has enough moisture. You need enough sun to make a flower bloom. If you don't have enough sunlight, you actually won't get blooms on your flowers. If you aren't getting blooms on your flowers or in your garden, that could be why it doesn't get enough sun. And we need sun too. Right now, sorry for that like big flare up there, but we need sun. We need sunlight. We're really just like animated plants that have appendages and can walk around, but we need sunlight to actually create vitamin D. And one thing that has happened this year is a lot of us aren't spending time outside, sharing time with friends and family members and in our community. And so we're not actually creating enough vitamin D. And that's something that we've been deficient in anyway as a culture, because since the industry has increased, we spend a lot more time indoors and working indoors. And we actually need vitamin D to regulate our hormones, to actually have good immunity. And so vitamin D and the sun go hand in hand, and I know I'm like an astrologer health chick, but I am an herbalist and a nutritionist, and the sun does help us make vitamin D. So something to consider, as we are going into fall, is that we typically make our vitamin D through the summer when we are outside, and then we keep our reserves and work through our reserves through the winter, and tend to be really deficient in the spring, which is when a lot of people end up breaking their bones if they play contact sports, things like that. So we need to make sure that we're replete in vitamin D. We need to make sure that we're replete in vitamin D, not only for the health of our bones, but also for the health of our immune system, as well as a number of other key nutrients like vitamin C and vitamin A and zinc and vitamin E and selenium. But vitamin D is something that it comes up as a major deficiency in almost all chronic illnesses, and so the sun wants us to know that, as well as letting us know that we're all working on our own essential nature, how to take care of ourselves, how to show up in the world, how to bring our light into the world with what we have collected on our journey as far as our breadcrumbs that are of value. And I guess today what these cards are showing me is that we are in a place of evaluation. We are in a place of like looking at ourselves in a new light and kind of breaking out of this phase that we've been in. Like when we look at and consider plants and the actual phases that they go throughout the seasons, and as I said before, we are a lot like plants. So when you consider the seed is in the ground. It's very dark. It's in a very dark place, and yet it grows, and it has ultimate potential. And when the sun is warm enough, the ground is warm, or when the sun is out long enough and the ground is warm enough and the snow has melted, this seed can sprout, and then that seed grows into a little calohedron, and it has 2 leaves, right? And then through that you end up getting a bud, and then if the bud has enough sunlight, it blooms. That bloom can develop into fruit that then has seeds, or there's some kind of fruiting body that has seeds, and then that actual plant, the aerial part will, when it gets cold again and the sun shifts, and it's gone through its life cycle, it will withdraw and die in some instances and pull its energy into its root system so that it can actually sustain the cold of winter. And so we also move by those cycles where we are, out in the world and very, interacting with people, and then when we go into a time of withdrawal. So I just invite you that when we go into this time of withdrawal, that you make sure you're taking care of yourself. You're eating wholesome foods. You're avoiding the foods that make you feel like crap. and that you are replete in your basic vitamins and nutrients so that we can all stay well. I send you a good wish and many blessings, and I will see you again soon. Take care.